I'm Janice Edwards. Coming up on Bay Area Vista, we are on location for the 20th Anniversary Gala of Friends of Faith, an organization founded by KTVU reporter Faith Fancher. Tonight is a very special celebration, and it's an amazing show. That's all coming up next. Join us.
Janice Edwards Bay Area Vista is brought to you by Libby.
We are on location for the 20th Anniversary Gala celebration for Friends of Faith, the organization founded by Faith Fancher, a KTVU reporter who was inspirational to so many as she battled breast cancer.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Miss Faith Fancher.
The National Organization for Women.
Faith Fancher for the 10 o'clock news.
I have cancer? Me, Faith Fancher, I've got cancer. I mean, I was just stunned.
When she was diagnosed, she came over to my house and she said, well, Thelma, I want you to know that I'm getting ready to go into battle. And this is exactly how I'm going to treat this.
I'm not my left breast. I'm Faith Fancher. I'll still be a good reporter. Hi, Fancher. Daughter and good wife.
When word of the diagnosis got out, a group of her friends, mostly women in the media, decided that we wanted to have a luncheon for her to let her know that we would support her through this ordeal. Faith said, you know, I'm so lucky to have all of you. I know what we should do. I'm going to start an organization to help other women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, low-income women who don't have the support I have. Before we left that afternoon, by Faith's sheer force of personality and will, we all agreed. And that is how Friends of Faith was born.
Carolyn Tyler, of course known from KGO TV, but also a founding member of Friends of Faith. We are sisters in that. Carolyn, your thoughts about this evening?
Well, it's a bittersweet evening. You've probably heard other people talk about that. We love Faith so much, and we're so proud to have carried on in her name for 20 years. And now to be saying farewell, it's hard. It's kind of heartbreaking. But on the other hand, we wanted a chance to thank all of our donors and our supporters and people who've helped us raise so much money over the years. And also, as they say, I guess in Hawaii, it's not just aloha, it's aloha, because we'll still be around through the Women's Cancer Resource Center. They're going to keep the Faith Fancher Breast Cancer Emergency Fund. So her legacy lives on, and we will continue doing good works.
Yes.
Yeah.
You remember that day at El Fornillo, 1997, when Faith brought us together.
Yes.
What can you share about that day?
Well, I was one of the organizers of that lunch, and all I had in mind was I wanted all of us to come together and let Faith know that we were in her corner and that we loved her and that we had her back and that we were supporting her and, you know, all those kind of things. That this was not a journey she had to take alone. And when she turned around to us and said, I love that support, but I want you guys to do something extra for me.
I remember that moment.
And we were like, okay. And she was like telling us about women she was meeting along the way that did not have the resources that she had. And she wanted us to help in a tangible, meaningful way. And of course we said yes, but we had no idea what we were getting into.
No, not at all.
No.
And I think one of the things was, I remember many times as Faith was battling breast cancer, she would check out of the hospital just to come to an event to show support. And all the time that she was fighting, we were in awe of her, but it wasn't until she passed that we really realized how much work had gone into everything that she did with such amazing grace all of the time.
I mean, she was, for many years, Friends of Faith was really Faith, because Faith would just stand out there. People wanted to hear her story because she had shared her story with KTVU viewers, and so they would ask her to come and speak, and she would do that. Like you said, she would get up out of the hospital or off her sick bed or whatever and go and do something. And once she was gone, we really had to decide, could we do this without her? So that was another one of those decision-making points. And we decided, yes, we could and we would, in her honor and in her name, and continue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she really just brought all of us together in media, as she did everyone who knew her. Faith never met a stranger. She was just so incredible in that way. So
She's such a warm person.
Yes.
Bubbly, lovely. When I first got to San Francisco, out in the field, she was one of the first people I met who actually came up and extended herself, hugged me up, said, anything I can do, this is my name, this is who I am, welcome. That's the kind of person she was.
no rivalry because you were at two different stations.
No competition, no, you think you're all this, or I'm the queen bee, or nothing at all like that. That was not Faith's style, not her persona whatsoever. Yeah.
Very warm and loving, and it's a wonderful tribute to her this evening, and good to see you again.
Thank you for being here. And Faith, I know that she's looking down and she's smiling, and when we hold that glass of champagne, her favorite adult beverage, she's going to be enjoying the bubbles too. So,
Yes, she loved the bubbly.
yeah,
Okay.
she did.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Janet.
So think of this as her birthday party tonight, everybody, okay? Yay!
I'm Janice Edwards. Here on Bay Area Vista, we love to talk with people who make positive contributions to our community. And this particular segment is called our Bay Area Vista Uplifting Spotlight, focusing on Lyft driver Erin Kennedy. Erin, what a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, certainly. Now, you began driving with Lyft in the beginning. So tell me what those days were like.
It was a big adventure. Everyone really truly became my friend. I was their new friend with a car. I have been in the design industry for about 15 years up to that point, and commissioned sales rep, and recently divorced with 3 kids, and I needed to find a way to supplement my income. And I was already out and about in the Bay Area every day, so if there was a way to make that happen and I could bring in some additional money, that would be amazing. Having the additional source of income has been unbelievable, because now I've got my oldest graduated from college.
Congratulations.
My middle is still in college, and my youngest is getting ready to finish. And it just having the flexibility and another way to have money coming in on my hours, on my irregular schedule, has been fantastic.
You mentioned that you remember Faith Fancher, the KTVU reporter, who was very public with her battle and tragically lost her battle. And as a matter of fact, you had volunteered with Friends of Faith at one point.
Yes, I remember her speaking about her battle on air, and I remember also the fundraisers that were happening after she had passed away, and I was very moved, and I wanted to volunteer if I could, and I just thought that the cause that she was standing for was amazing. I mean, nobody wants to go through that, and it seems like she had so many wonderful colleagues that were also willing to help fundraise for breast cancer awareness, which is amazing.
What's the longest ride that you've ever given a passenger?
Oh my goodness. The longest ride was to Santa Barbara from SFO.
Wow.
There was someone who was desperately needing to get to a parent-teacher conference, and it was very important, and I'm a parent, so I get it, I understand. We got to talk for the next 5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
But she was very, very thankful and very gracious, and that it was a wonderful ride. It was a beautiful day.
And so she got to the conference on time?
She got to her parent-teacher conference on time, yes.
Wow.
And every time I get in my car to do this on my own time, it is one big adventure after the next.
We are talking with the incredible veteran journalist Belva Davis, award-winning, and also a founding member of Friends of Faith. Belva, why are you here tonight?
What do you mean, why am I here? How could I not be here? That would be a disgrace. I think my husband probably spent more time with Faith almost than he did with me for many years. They were buddies on the road together, love working together, and was one of his clearly best friends. And of course, like everyone else, we miss Faith, but we're so glad her legacy is helping so many people.
Yes, as a founding member, what did it mean when Faith invited us to join this organization and help her with boosting awareness and raising funds for those battling breast cancer?
I think the wonderful thing about Faith is once she knew how serious her illness was, she concentrated on totally what she could do to help other women who didn't have such an array of friends with knowledge and background and information. And she spent so much of her time thinking about how she was going to help everybody else. I don't know the day that she called me up and said, woo, boo, hoo, hoo.
Absolutely. She was such an inspiration.
Right.
Well, it's wonderful to see you tonight. I know you're always busy. What exciting projects do you have going these days?
Well, now my middle name is called Revelations. Art of the African American South, the exhibit at the DeYoung Museum. I'm spending my next months telling the history of African Americans in America. And that's a story that's untold, really and truly. We talk about it on the surface, but once I found out there was a way you could teach kids and old folks that we have a wonderful and rich history, that's what I'm devoting myself to now.
That is so wonderful. Any thoughts these days about the challenges that journalists are facing?
Oh my goodness gracious, this is worse than challenges. It is worse than challenging. It is really having to remake yourself for today's world. It's a world where machines count far too more than humans. And I think it must be hard for journalists to get used to that because we always thought we were special because we could digest information and analyze, and now they push a button and some rhythms. But for people who succeed in it, I commend them. I commend them. I commend them because it means you really, really do have to look far into the future as to how you're going to survive in this business. Yeah.
Well, it's always wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for your inspiration, your groundbreaking, and for being a friend of Faith.
Well, I've known you since you were a child, my dear.
Yes. I was an intern at Cron on Belva's show, and it's always such an honor. And I like her saying I was a child when that began.
That's of course.
What would you like for people to remember most about Faith?
Well, I think Faith was a woman of great integrity and character and great dignity and elegance. I always think, I always apply that word to her, elegance. But I think now, Faith would be very proud to have people remember her for the awareness she raised to breast cancer. And I think that legacy would really make her very happy. And this organization, Friends of Faith, has helped so many women in this community who really need help in terms of breast cancer screening and support.
Well, he's not behaving badly tonight or catching people who do behave badly. Stanley Roberts is talking with us about this incredible event. And first of all, I just have to say, it's wonderful to see you. You had such a health challenge of your own. How are you doing now?
I'm doing fine. They still don't know what caused it, but I'm still doing fine. And if they don't know, I had a stroke 2 years ago, and I'm just happy to be here and talk about, and attend this event.
Yes. So, Friends of Faith is wrapping after 20 years, but will continue the Faith Fancher Emergency Breast Cancer Fund. Why was it important for you to be here tonight?
Well, my sister's a breast cancer survivor. I flown back and forth to Georgia on a regular basis, trying to be with her as she went through the whole process. She had a double mastectomy. She went through chemotherapy. She's been going through a whole bunch of things, but she made it through. And every day for her is a challenge. So anytime I can support something like this, I will.
Well, we really appreciate that support as well. So are you going to be on the dance floor tonight?
Well, I don't know. I got to talk to my daughter, see if she wants to dance with me. If not, then maybe not.
What are your thoughts about all of the people who've turned out for this event?
It's a big event. A lot of people, a lot of heavy hitters. I'm the small guy on the totem pole when you look at the guys that are here. They've been doing this for a long time. I'm learning from everybody, and I'm glad that, they all showed up and showed support.
Well, we're glad to see you doing so well, and tonight you get to relax. You don't have to have your camera on people, and hopefully everyone will behave well.
Oh, no, I rigged the place with a bunch of cameras already, so I'm just kidding. No,
now you're behaving badly.
Hit it! Here we go!
Y'all see what's up?
20 years. And I have met some of these women who this organization have supported, women who've needed something as small as gas money to be able to go back and forth to the hospital. Women who just needed an extra dollar or two to get someone to help and assist them when they were sick. This organization has touched so many lives, and to hear the stories will bring tears to your eyes. I know that's why many of you are here today. 20 years, an amazing legacy. And I just had to stop by Pam and Carolyn and Barbara, hi Barbara, and Renel. Thank you all so much. Faith would have been proud, she would have been humble, she would have been honored by your consistency, by your advocacy, by the lives that you changed from what you've done year after year after year. And so I had to take time and come over the bridge and say thank you. You are some amazing ladies who have just rocked the world. And, you know, on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, on the 20th anniversary, to give it this last hurrah celebration and to have a good time. Hey, Renel. Hey, girl. Thank you. And we honor you today. Thank you.
As a lifetime Oaklander, I had the pleasure of watching Faith Fancher on the news, watching her brave journey. I do want to recognize especially Darlene Martini, we call her, who first really familiarized me with Friends of Faith when we worked together at the Port of Oakland. You are an incredible community, so I want you to have another cocktail.
Don't drive.
Whatever check you are planning to write, double it. And continue to support, because we all know that there is not equity in healthcare. And we have got to make up that difference until we have fixed the system that is responsible for delivering a fair healthcare system. And right now we know that that feels a little farther away than it once was. So thank you for being here. Thank you. I'm so proud to be the mayor of Oakland, California. Aren't we lucky to live here? And thank you for generously supporting the Legacy Fund for Faith Fancher.
Faith is still missed in my office, or the younger lawyers don't know much about it, but they often ask me the picture of her in my office, and I have to give them the story of how it was when Faith was around. Yeah.
Miss her very much. And your thoughts about what she might think about what we're seeing these days, because you're so busy with so many cases that demand attention regarding justice and equality.
Well, you know, she was a fighter for justice, a true fighter, and she felt these issues very strongly, more so than I thought a lot of other journalists. It wasn't just the work, it was the story and trying to enlighten people about some of the social issues that were taking place. Many of the issues I was involved in those days, the police misconduct issues, she was right front and center. She felt those issues. And I remember very closely how she was ultimately trying to get a story from Johnny Cochran, and he at the time had just finished the O.J. Simpson case. And so she understood those issues. And of course, the ultimate was her involvement on bringing breast cancer to light. I mean, she just really jumped into that at great invasion of her own personal privacy. And so she was a journalist to the very end.
After asking people, you know, the most intimate questions about their lives, I thought this is my chance to step up and make a difference.
We were also blessed to know her and experience some of her love and just her graciousness and her incredible work ethic. What would you like for people to know that maybe they didn't see even as Faith continued to publicly battle breast cancer and just be such a support to others?
I think that Faith was just always so focused on really sort of helping other women who had this illness. I mean, I never really saw her down. I mean, you know, and she had to be down when she was having this very debilitating chemotherapy. You know, at one point, she'd lost a lot of weight, she'd lost a lot of her hair, but whenever you would see her, it would always be like, hey, darling, what's going on with you?
That's so true.
I mean, she would never, like, allow herself to fall into sort of self-pity and just being really depressed. And I mean, I think that that's, an amazing thing that, when you're dealing with this level of illness. And people forget, when Faith was first diagnosed, we were told that it was pre-cancer. So we were supposedly in the group of people who, basically she had the 97% survival rate. And that again tells you these percentages, they mean nothing. Doctors do the best they can, but it's not, it's an art, medical art. And that was one of the reasons why it was so shocking when she passed, because we were told that, she was, but it was a very aggressive form of cancer is what happened. So what I always remember is just how valiantly she fought this, from it, even though I'm sure on some level she knew the severity of it, and she knew that, her days on this plane were not, necessarily long. And I think that's the thing people probably don't know about her, is just how strong she was. I mean, she was very, very, to the bitter end, she was very, very strong. I think it would be very important for her that this fund continue in her name, not because of some vanity on her part, but because she knew how important these funds were for the women who get them.
Tammy, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to speak
you.
with us.
Okay.
And if you'd like to contact or contribute to the Faith Fancher Emergency Breast Cancer Fund, the details are on our screen.
It's always a pleasure to talk with the world-famous Rick and Russ show featuring CJ Flash. Of course, they are DJs extraordinaire. They make every party better. And they're here tonight supporting Friends of Faith. So CJ, I'll start with you. Why is it important to be here tonight?
Well, I met Faith a number of years ago briefly, but the cause is what is most important, especially for Black people. And we have a lot of friends that are cancer survivors. I lost my mother to cancer in '98. So that cause for me is, it's pretty deep. So, yeah, so being a part of this makes me feel that much better. Makes me feel like I'm actually assisting with something.
Cancer has touched all of us. I lost my aunt to breast cancer a number of years ago. It's touched so many of my friends. It's a lot of friends who are surviving cancer now. We're doing everything we can to rally around them. So this cause in particular is really, it's a must-do for us. So we're so happy that we can contribute. It worked out with our schedule that we can be part of this. And I'm pumped that we can be part of it. It's beautiful so far.
Here to pay tribute to what we call the super volunteers. The chair of tonight's event, Rosie Allen.
Okay, this is the fun part. And I would like it if those of us in the room who are already partying, if you could just give me some of your time for just a few minutes to honor these really special people. As a founding member of Friends of Faith, I have spent a whole bunch of hours volunteering at various events and fundraisers for this organization, but the hardest job I've ever had was producing the Breast Cancer Challenge for 8 years. And it's difficult because there are so many moving parts. If you don't have the right group of people helping you, you're really lost. Fortunately, we found the right group of people, and they've been with us for a long time. You can't do a big job without help from a lot of people when you don't have money to spend to pay them. And we didn't, and we don't. Would the volunteers please come down? You know who you are, but I'm going to tell everybody who you are in just a minute. We call them super volunteers, but they're more than that. They have become our friends, and in some cases, our family.
Of course, at KTVU, you probably didn't meet Faith, but you'd heard about her when you came aboard. What did you hear about Faith Fancher?
I heard that she was one of the best reporters. And everyone talks about her personality, but they also talked about her work ethic. And that's something that I am reminded of, when I was a reporter and then now as an anchor, as I just sort of think about, she really was one of those people that built and made KTVU what it is. So it's really in her sort of legacy that now I'm working there.
Once we get everything situated and balanced and collect all the money, we've got more money to come tonight. So thank you. That's $40,000 for tonight and more to come.
And tonight, we were able to donate $40,000, honoring our 20 years in service in her name. So how can I not feel good about that, even though I'm tired?
Yes, well, congratulations. It's wonderful.
Well, as a former board member, congratulations to you.
Well, I'm excited too, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm so honored to be a founding member for 15 years, working together, working with you and everyone here. So I'm very excited, and it's such a wonderful legacy.
I never got to know or to meet Faith, but I heard so many stories about her courage, about her generosity, and so that gave me strength.
Today, in this uplifting spotlight, we're focusing on Lyft driver Mimi Fan. Mimi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Janice. Happy to be here.
Oh, so glad to talk with you. I mean, I've heard so many great things about you because you are someone who goes above and beyond to really give back to our communities. How did you first start working with Lyft?
Being a single mom can be a little challenging. So actually one day I was talking to a colleague at work, and he had mentioned that he had driven for a little bit yesterday and made great money. And I said, what, drive? What do you mean drive? He says, well, I drive for a ride share, and it's called Lyft, you know, the pink mustache. And I had no idea that that's what it was. I'm from San Francisco. I am a local girl, and I know the streets of San Francisco pretty well. So it just made sense. So I applied, and September 2013 was when I gave my first ride, September 15th, 2013. And I just fell in love. Soon afterwards, because I was such a highly rated driver, I got an invite to become a mentor, which is to essentially train drivers to welcome them into the Lyft community. I come from an immigrant family. You know, my family had their own businesses, and you know, because they had their own businesses, they really put me to work. Since I was 14 years old, they wanted me to stay out of trouble. Then my mom is she comes from, you know, the beauty industry and has many nail salons in San Francisco. And, you know, she started putting me in a salon, answering phones at 14 years old. And I think that's what really, you know, kept up this great work ethic. But at the same time, I was able to connect with people and talk to people and be social. Most oftentimes, I found that a lot of my passengers really, truly enjoyed needed really an ear to listen to them. There are often times where I think people are really lonely, and they may not have as many people to talk to. And, you know, hence, you know, maybe, or talk to that won't give judgment to anything that you would say. If I've really affected them, any of my passengers, you know, in a positive way, then I feel that I've done my job.
And that's our show. I'm Janice Edwards. What an incredible celebration. I'm so glad we were able to share it. Thank you for all that you do to make our world a better place. Please join us again next time. We look forward to seeing you then.
What a wonderful night this has been. Such a fitting tribute to the life and legacy of such a caring and courageous woman. One more round of applause for Miss Faith Fancher.